Yo yo yo, welcome to this Wizard Talk number 2. And the title of this video is called Let's Destroy the Rings Together. Um, and many might be wondering why, as a Dutch guy, I speak out against racism in other countries on my social medias. And yeah, this video is kind of to explain you why I do that. Um, and I will start where I left it in the previous video. The video was called Duality in COVID Crisis and how to deal with it. So yeah, let's go back a little bit to this concept of duality. Um, what is important to know is that every human, they have in them a side and a shadow, like it's kind of like the dark side, right? Um, and you see that in movies like Star Wars very strongly. And usually in many things this is portrayed as white and black. You know, like for example the yin yang. You know, it's about the balance in between black and white. But there is something that maybe not in the yin yang, but in many things is that white is being seen as good and black is being seen as bad, you know? And this is a problem that I don't agree with. And because why all the good things need to be light and white, and all the bad things needs to be black. I don't agree at all with it, especially because I love black. You know, like come from punk music scene. You know, so yeah, everybody wears black. So it's yeah. I don't agree with the fact that it's put in like white is good and black is bad. And this is maybe like a little bit the core problem we are seeing with racism today. And Muhammad Ali, he said it very beautiful in one of his videos. Check it on YouTube. Muhammad Ali speaking about duality between black and white. What I did is instead I redesigned the problem of duality into red and blue. And so let's keep it like that and let's talk about red and blue and not black and white. The mixture of the colors, red and blue, that becomes purple. That was my previous video about. And I think this is what we have to aim towards, the Trinity, you know, remember that? To aim for the color purple. But what we see these days, and we saw it in the COVID crisis, we also see it now in the institutionalized racism in the police corps in America, just to give two examples, is that one of the colors have taken over our society, and especially a color that is corrupted by power, and have become like a collective representation of of an evil force. Let's call it like that for a little bit. So when a collective of humans becomes almost red, so a lot of humans are disbalanced and have one color very strongly in them, and if that becomes a collective that has power in a society, I see that as a threat. And to balance that again, we need to counter that with the opposite of what they are, and that is the color blue. And the ultimate goal at the end of this conflict or this fight is to create purple. Um, so yeah, I wanted to maybe share my personal tips or ideas about how can we help the color blue to grow. And I think what's very important here in the situations we are seeing around the world, we saw in COVID crisis, and now we also see it in the United States after the video release, is that we don't have to aim our outrage towards the purple. For example, in the rioting in the USA, in Minneapolis, many cities around the country, is that the rioters or the protesters are being dehumanized and criminalized by the media, but also by the government. And I actually see these rioters as more purple. Um, of course, like destroying private property is not like a good thing, and we have to always try to aim for like a peaceful solutions. Um, but has that helped them in the past? They have been peacefully protesting for decades in the United States, and uh, like kneeling at sport events during the national anthems, etc. Like many movements have appeared that aim to peacefully protest this, but yeah, not much has changed as we have seen in the news recently. So I think in this situation, like conflict is inevitable, especially when you live for so long under this institutionalized racism. And what bothers me the most is when I see people speaking out like suddenly, like now in the past days, like rioting and looting is not okay. But these same people didn't speak out when a black civilian was being murdered on a video. So why these people speak out now when they see black youth rioting, like yeah, that's also not the solution, but did not speak out when George Floyd was murdered on video, or many other yeah, black Americans that have been murdered by the police. So I believe there lies a deeper problem in society, that people that only speak out um, when somebody in the black community does something wrong, but they stay more neutral when a crime is committed by a white police officer. So it's very important to realize that when this happened, it's like kind of like a hidden racism. Um, and yeah, I would like to add something about this rioting happening in the States right now. Is that, for example, I have friends there, so I see I get news from them and through the social media. And for example, last night in Louisiana, something happened that one police officer was in the protesting, was separated from his team, let's say, and he was threatened by a huge crowd. And what happened is that a group of civilians, they made a circle around him and actually protected him. And this is not the images we see on the news, you know. Yeah, what we see in the news is more like just the rioting and the burning down of buildings, and that's just an example of how mass media is influencing your view on things. Um, what was also some other videos that are starting to appear but don't make it to the news. They're just in the social media spectrum. Is that mysterious like anonymous men appear at peacefully protest and start destroying private property and then disappear in a couple of minutes. And they're caught on video, and also the protesters are like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, who are you?" And then they become aggressive and just disappear really fast. Yeah, this is just whoever that was. That's just trying to put these protesters into a bad light. And yeah, this is just some details on how yeah, how purple actually this rioting are. There are many different forces, and we should be able to see both of them and not focus on one, you know. But the title of this video is like, let's destroy this ring together. And I will get to that now, because it's about why we must destroy this, what I call ring. And I'm going back to my Lord of the Rings analogy, because I think for me that works very good. And in my previous videos, I stated that the ring is COVID-19, right? But I also said that it could be many other things. And I want to give you 3 examples of what the ring can be, and what the powers behind it are. Because in the Lord of the Rings, you have the evil power, which is Sauron, and he puts part of his power in the ring. And the key to destroy Sauron is destroying the ring. And I think that applies to a lot of things in our societies. So an example is that in what I've been speaking about the last months is that the ring is COVID-19, and if we are all together collaborating, able to destroy COVID-19, then we can also destroy what is the force behind it, which is, in my opinion, capitalism. This kind of pandemics appear because of how we live in a capitalistic society. Another example is that, let's say, the ring is a corrupt police force, then the power behind it is institutionalized racism. Another example is like if the ring is slavery, the power behind it is colonialism. So yeah, as I said before, we need to become the fellowship to be able to destroy those rings together, and like that we can maybe defeat what is behind it. Yeah, so for example, the key, as I said now, the key to defeat capitalism lies in being able to defeat worldwide pandemics like the COVID that we had. Because if you do that, you give an example to all humans that health is more important than capital. To take the other example, the key to defeat colonialism was ending slavery. So if we manage to defeat slavery, you give an example that no race is superior to another, which is kind of the concept behind colonialism, that one race or one country or whatever can go and take over other cultures and land. And so if we get to the example of what is now very actual, is all of them are very actual, but the key to destroy racism is creating a non-corrupt and diverse police force. So if we manage to defeat this brutal and unjust police force that we see very strongly in the United States now, but it's happening all over the world, and I see many examples of this in Latin America, but also in Asia, in Europe you also see the surveillance of the police, etc. So if you manage to defeat that, you give an example that all civilians are equal. So yeah, COVID-19, police brutality, slavery, they were never defeated without a fight. So and I believe a fight can be violent, like now in the riots. It's a very violent fight, but it can also be like a more peaceful fight, like Gandhi, for example, did it, or Martin Luther King was also like in a peaceful protesting way. And I think like how these conflicts are solved is depending on the situation and the people that are doing the fight at that moment. So yeah, me personally, I'm trying. I adopted. How do you say? Adopted this kind of like way of living called the way of the wizard, which I will explain in different videos. But what I try to aim is to be this Gandalf the Purple, you know. In the books of Tolkien, he's called Gandalf the Grey, which is the mixture of black and white, you know. And in my way of reading it, I would like to go for the Gandalf the Purple, which is the mixture of blue and red. And what is very important to be able to, learn things yourself personally and spiritually to aim for that color is to listen to people, to really listen to the people that are being oppressed, and not to listen to the oppressors that are controlling the media in a situation like we are now. And that's why I speak out, you know, because I listen to friends from different ethnic backgrounds. For example, my friend Danita, she teach me that just by having conversation with her, she teach me that we should not refer to people with a different ethnic background as a minority, because they are not like a minority, and they shouldn't also be treated as one. From my other friend Dustin, he teach me that even I'm like I have a lighter skin color, you know, like I'm like a ginger white, you know. I should not stay silent, because also in my own community here in Amsterdam, racism is still like a huge problem. and being like passive in that is not gonna help the problem, even though I'm white, you know. And my friend Rob, he teach me to love the black people like I also love the black culture, right? And this applies to Latino, to African, to Asian, to Native, to other Europeans. Uh, Actually, any culture that you enjoy. You know, all my life I've been listening to hip hop music. I drink mate, you know, which is a Argentinian thing, and I watch Studio Ghibli movies from Asia. You know, dance to cumbia, like you know, all these influences and things that I really like. Yeah, you should also um, love the cultures in all the levels, you know. So when they're being oppressed, you should try to help, you know. Um, yeah, and my friend Lisette that was doing a performance yesterday, I went to see her. She also with her art, she teach me that a non-violent protest can be as powerful and maybe even more powerful than a violent one. Um, so yeah, this is kind of the video in which I try to explain yeah why I oops yeah something went wrong with the video, so I can only put 15 minutes into one video to edit. So just a little side note I wanted to add at the end of this video is this is why I share all these kind of things on my social media as an artist in Amsterdam. So it's yeah, that's that. What's important to know is that it affects many communities around the whole world, and everybody is having their own fight. And I'm very aware of my privilege of where I am, and so yeah, I try to do what I can from here. So yeah, that's why I make these videos. And what I wanted to add also is that maybe I said some wrong things that are not exactly correct in the video, or that I should maybe rephrase, or other things that I might have had wrong. Please correct me. So because we are all in a learning process. So yeah, you can just drop your opinions in the comment, or references or whatever. If you have any questions also. And last, I wanted to say that yeah, what I think is very important is that you shouldn't be listening to me, but actually to them, and listen and learn. You know, that's very important for us to do now. So yeah, I think that was it for the video. Last thing I wanted to add is let's bring this motherfucking rings to Mordor. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next Wizard Talk. Peace out.